Previously on Talk That Talk. Calling us, or more or less Rick's comments, Uncle Tom's, and the trying to be on the white standard of things. And when it comes to this thing called band in music and music education, when you don't subscribe to just the marching aspect, why is it that, and anybody can answer this and we can just kind of go in a dialogue about this, but why is it that it's all of a sudden considered for us to be doing it the white way?
Because anything that's different from the norm is, it's funny. When I think band culture, I don't think about my generation of band. I think about the generations before me. And it's mighty ironic that some of these people that have the most to say are 21, 22, 23 years old. And they know everything that's ever happened with HBCU band. That is like, they don't know that Mississippi Valley used to be one of those white style bands that y'all talking about. Know your history. There's a lot of bands. Virginia State used to do a lot of that same stuff too. Why? They had the same band director who was the first black the first black to be at a predominantly white institution at the University of Pittsburgh and Minnesota. And he'll be talking to us next week.
Yeah.
So it's always the people who are the most ill-informed that get to dictate our culture, or the people who are on the outside, never marched a day in their life, but can dictate what HBCU band culture is. Like that baffles me. And then and it's the same thing. And Kuan, I'm sure you're gonna jump in and say it. It's the same thing Kuan says all the time. At the end of the day, we have been conditioned to think that anything that's good is white. I'm not even going to talk about marching style. I'm not even going to talk about what the bands do. Just anything that's good, we automatically, some people associate with white. And I have fought that my whole career. That's the reason why I carry myself in the communities that I'm in, like Gary was saying with drum corps and stuff. I am unapologetically black. I don't change the way I act at all. The same Rick you see right here is the same Rick when I'm standing in front of my horn line doing what I do. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, when you see people that look like us that do what we do at a high level, then people will start, I think, in my opinion, will start to, okay, it's okay to, to look at people like Shawn, who has done great work with her group for so long, like, or the innovation. Think about innovation in HBCU band. I hope that's a question, because I cannot wait to talk to Gary about it, because it ain't happening, except for a couple places around the country. So I think at the end of the day, Julian, I think it's just people have been conditioned to think that anything that's different or good is related to white. And I don't subscribe to that at all. And I'm not going to ever. Sorry.
So you said a mouthful. I'll just say this part real quick. Anything that quote unquote there's that Western aspect of music, they feel that it's white, not realizing that it's been African Americans that have been doing great things and those same things for years. Prime example, one of my favorite composers of all the time is William Grant Still. We don't highlight him, but this man has wrote several symphonies, several operas, several ballets, so forth and so on. But because honestly, like you said, we're ill-informed about composers like him. We don't speak about Duke Ellington and his arranging and composing capabilities, like, post his mother passing away, because he was writing things differently at that point. We don't speak about those things. So we just assimilate, well, all they talking about is Bach, Beethoven, stuff like that. Let's go past that. You know what I'm saying? So that's just one aspect of what you're saying. Number two, like when you speak about some of the things like of HBCU bands, yes, Dr. William P. Foster, changed things. But let's be honest with ourselves. Some of those things we took from PWIs too.
No, he sure did.
I mean, if you look at some of the uniforms, if you want to be honest, Southern's fast cadence.
Southern's putting that head on the ground, the drum major.
All of that. You know what I'm saying?
High stepping. High stepping.
If you looked at old school Purdue, that is basically Gremlin with
Yep.
with the same white shoes. So it's kind of like good music is good music. I think honestly, we're and what's funny is like we assimilate like you say, white is right and all that stuff. But some of the things that we created, we don't hold for ourselves. We give it to everybody. But then we backdoor and say, well, this is ours, but we don't protect it. So it's kind of like, which
I
one are we
agree.
gonna do? Are we gonna protect it and say this is ours? Or are we just gonna look at it as, man, good music is good music?
You
What's up,
just
Chief?
said you just said a mouthful there, Quan.
What
I
up, though?
just, for one, the thing that bothers me the most in our young people is that they don't know their history and they don't try to find out either. And like at the conference this past week, I did a lecture workshop on the history of the HBCU dance style. And I took it all the way back to the military bands, with the dancers with the pom-poms and the poofs on the head and the batons and all of that. And you'd be amazed at how many people just don't know about the history and they just assume that it started when they were born. But yeah, a lot. Dr. Greggs used to always tell us where the Southern style came from, and it was Michigan. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But the other thing, Juan, that you said about not protecting our own, we, Julian, you need a whole show just on that. That is one of my big. That's one of my things right now is why are we not protecting what we created? When the jazz department left Southern University, why? I couldn't
Bruh.
so we don't protect our own, and we're a little short-sighted with people not really wanting to learn their history.
And let me just say this real quick, Julian. Even some of the cadences we play, Electric Wheelchair, that's been remixed and played by several HBCU bands too. And so if you're a percussionist, you know what cadence that is, because that's one of the most famous cadence, that one in Legend of a One Eye. So some of these people was written by white people. But good music is good music, dog. Like we really gotta grow up. But I think those are some of the small-minded people that just, if they're comfortable with what they're comfortable with. And sometimes think about it. Most of us, all of us, we from the hood, and we went to college. And when you went back, oh, you went to school now. Oh, you better than us. It's nah, bro. I just try to go to school, fam. But I'm still the same person. But that's a whole nother story.